Okay, thank you, Victor. uh, we organized this workshop as an experiment with the school to try to create an insight sharing live and open discussion about two challenges, basically the Dapps and integration challenges, and also the mini Dapps, mini low budget Dapps and integration, which is basically the same challenge, but only with a limited amount, basically, of funds available. I will share my screen just to make a quick introduction. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, basically this workshop is in collaboration with Labs, with James, that will guide us through some topics. And as I told before, it's just an insight sharing. So we would like to have an open discussion about these challenges, to identify some critical points, something that could be useful for proposers in this challenge. And now I will just take a quick introduction about the Catalyst School. Basically, we started in Fund 6 to have some, we identified that there was a need for people involved in Catalyst to basically learn the various processes, how they can take the various roles that are included in the process. So we started this initiative, and we got funded with various proposals in Fund 6. And the basic idea was to create 4 types of content. A basic one, the introduction to Catalyst, so some content to people that just joined the project Catalyst and didn't know how to take a role or doing something, because as all we know, it's a complicated process at first. Then we have this other workshop proposing in Catalyst, and I think the current workshop is something really related to this one. But this one, the one we are in now, it's a new experiment, something that probably we will add in a formal way in the next funds. Then also a workshop about community advisor. So basically the role that assess the proposals in the next stages, and basically a workshop to teach them how to make it, how to follow the various criteria that are involved in this role. And the last one is for veteran community advisor. So because after the assess stage, there is another stage where veteran community advisor basically reviews the assessments made by community advisor, and it's a kind of an operational workshop to explain criteria, explain the techniques, the tools that are used. And for now, we are following creating this live session and workshops, but we are working also on a website that will be a reference for all the content that we produce. And also there are some related workshops with some related projects that doesn't really fit in the Catalyst process itself, but are really related to the uh, to the Catalyst in general. Okay, you can find these links if you want to follow us on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, and Linktree. Okay, and now this is the intro, the topics that we would like to cover today in this workshop. But as I told before, I really would like to have just an open conversation. So these are the main topics, but feel free to ask questions. To I don't know, if you have some topic that it's related to this workshop, feel free to raise your hand and talk about this. the topics that we would like to follow are about, the first one is about the challenges in general in this fund 7, and to identify basically the boundaries between them, and how to choose the best challenge for your proposal. Then we will have a basic intro on the smart contract architecture, just to have a brief introduction about this. And then 2 operational steps about writing a proposal. So the first one is about the formal structure that is expected for a proposal. And this is something really useful for you as a proposer, because you can have a brief guide, a brief structure that of about what the community advisor and voters in general will expect from your proposal. And also another topic is about the technical KPI. So the key performance indicators that you will add to your proposal, and obviously something technical, so specific to Dapps and integration in general. And then Thibaut will run a quick intro about the key concept and insights about this mini proposal framework, which is something that could be really useful for the mini Dapps challenge. And in the end, we will see some examples of successful proposals from the previous funds. So you will have some reference about the basically a successful proposal, how it was made, and stuff like that. So okay, can we start? I think the first one, it's probably important to have some introduction about the challenge, the Dapps challenge, and then the mini Dapps challenge. So I would like to invite Miroslav, if it is here, to have a quick introduction about the Dapps challenge.
Hello, guys. Yes, I'm Miroslav from Croatia, and in our team we have three guys: Andre and Chris and me. We also had a presentation in last town hall. And yes, I'm new in this challenge, and try to have attitude to learn much as possible that I can. Yes, and this is it. I will not say a question. I will say I have one concern, and this is this bridge between people who will apply and catalyst. How will we manage? I don't know, 200 and ish projects. This is my basic concern, and hope that in hanging out with you guys, that I will learn how to close these thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, yes, it's I don't know, we are already aware about the scaling issue here in Catalyst, and obviously it's something that we will figure out as a community, I imagine. And but because as we saw that proposals, the number of proposals is really was higher in the last fund, but also the number of community advisor and in general the people involved in Catalyst was higher. So this is something that I think will scale accordingly, and obviously we need to push some type of roles that should be with more people. Okay, in general, I think I invited Miroslav because he is in the challenge team of the Dapps proposal, and as you can imagine, the Dapps challenge. As you can imagine, the Dapps challenge is about building Dapps and integration. So if your proposal is something that it's in this topic, this is probably the best challenge for you. And I am in the mini low budget Dapps and integration challenge team. The main difference between the two challenges is only about some limitation that we thought to introduce in this challenge about the budget, basically, because there is an hard cap of $10,000 for the proposals. And also another important point is that for the mini Dapps challenge, we expect proposals that are complete. Basically, at the deliver, they should deliver a final product that could be used by the end user. And basically, the target of this is the goal of this is to have finalized application in a short time frame that could improve in general the adoption of Catalyst. Okay, at this point I will pass probably the word to James.
Definitely, and this scaling problem is a really good place for us to start, because Catalyst is different from what a lot of us are used to in terms of funding software projects or funding startups. And anybody who's looking for, one source of truth is bound to be disappointed. That's really what's at the heart of the scaling issue, right? Nobody's in charge anymore. There's no individual VC telling us, yep, we're going to stamp that proposal with an approval, and this one we're going to deny. So that's really where I want to start today, is thinking about what exactly is the opportunity here. And what we've learned so far in the first year of Project Catalyst is that a lot of people are disappointed at the end of a given round because they don't get funding, because there's too many good ideas to fund them all at once. So if we take that as a given, where do we land on that? And where does funding rank in kind of the list of outcomes, positive outcomes that might happen? I was just, looking at Twitter like crypto people do over the weekend, and yesterday I saw a thread. I'll grab a link to it here. I saw this thread from Sahil Bloom, and you can read it on your own, but he's talking about the writing process. And I think it's really important to recognize the value of this writing process in Project Catalyst. And let's again contrast this to what happens when you make a pitch to an institutional venture capitalist. You work for weeks alone or with your team. Maybe you pull a couple of all-nighters to polish off your slide deck so that it's perfect, and you get yourself all fired up for that big day where you're presenting your idea to the people who have the money. And then you go in and you have a high stakes couple of minutes, 5 or 10 more if you're lucky, to pitch your idea and to try to win funding. That's not how Catalyst works. The entire Catalyst process follows the writing process. And so anybody who's been engaged for the last couple days since Fund 7 opened on Thursday, you know that phase 1 of the Catalyst process is to not even start proposing solutions, but to talk about a problem in real time, to have a chance to refine your ideas, and if you're thinking about it strategically, to start planting seeds in these conversations so that people can see the problem the same way you do. And you're basically priming people's minds to be ready to see your solution as a valuable one. Only after a week of that, and you still have a few days, right? Anybody who hasn't gone in and shared an insight yet, if you're hoping to build a proposal in Fund 7, I strongly recommend getting in and sharing some insights on the problem statements where you're going to be giving those proposals, right? everything we're doing, and this is kind of parenthetical, but everything we're doing here in blockchain, right? Part of what we like about this new system is that it provides an open ledger. And IdeaScale is kind of the same thing. People are going to be able to look back and see what you've contributed as you worked through the process, right? So this is your chance to start building your reputation, but not to start talking about the solution yet. On Thursday, we start to propose our own solutions. And critically, what you share between this Thursday and the next one, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to refine it with a community. In fact, we could argue that it's you might see more success if you don't share a perfectly polished solution at first. Now, why would that be? Because the real value of Catalyst, I promise you this, is in the people you meet. No matter what, even if you're successful, you're not going to get enough funds from Catalyst to build an enterprise. You're going to get enough to start a project. And in order to really see this success, if you can align your ideas and engage other people in thinking the way that you're trying to solve problems, you're going to find collaborators along the way. And if you share a proposal that shows entry points for other people to come in and start participating with you, if you demonstrate curiosity by asking questions and giving people hooks to start engaging with you, that's going to sow the seeds of more collaboration later. So that's the first main thing I want to bring to the table today, is this idea of the writing and revision process. And maybe you'll hear some of the thinking I'm sharing here echoed in that tweet thread that I just dropped in the chat. I want to pause there because I know I'm sharing some big ideas. And for folks who are new to Project Catalyst, does that raise any questions for you about what's unique about this system or anything else?
I would add something where what another value there is, like when we do these things, the power you have actually to change the system. When you see like this is not diverse enough, or there could be some different method, even these things are considered, and you might not find yourself as a proposer or an advisor, but you might find yourself in some different role in this community. So yeah, it's a very different place compared to what James brought up as a VC funding. You can, yeah, it's just much bigger than just writing a proposal and making options.
And I would also add that this kind of collaboration basically can take a concrete form, because, for example, the Catalyst School is something that just was born through people that met in Catalyst. So and also the other I don't know group which I am part of is the AIM tools, the AIM Cardano AIM. And basically, we just met in Catalyst because we saw the proposals from the other ones. We had some idea, we started discussing, and the collaboration was always the key, because through this we built something new, and we start working together.
We built something new. We started working together. We're still building things that are brand new and that people don't understand. So just to give you a little bit of background, I jumped in along with Tavo last summer 2020, when Catalyst Fund 1 opened up, because it struck me as something that was really unique. I had never seen anything like it before, and I wanted to find out where it went. Now in Fund 1, there was no real money involved. We just tested out the system, and then we were ready to kind of bring ideas that had already started working through this refinement process in Fund 2. And throughout, all of us get to meet a lot of different people. And it's critical for everybody here to recognize that you're not gonna see eye to eye with everybody you meet, and that's okay. That's a huge feature of this system. And I want to encourage everybody, be gentle on yourself when you meet somebody whose thoughts don't align with yours. Try to learn as much as you can, but also don't spend too much time trying to change people's minds. This is the beauty of a distributed and decentralized world, is that there's room for competing points of view. So, during Fund 1, I tried to talk to everybody. Some people like Tavo, I wanted to keep talking to. And other people, I was like, oh, like the way you're approaching this, it's really like sucking the life out of me. And that's fine. We just don't need to talk again, and that's okay. And somebody who I had started to collaborate during Fund 1, we were like pushing each other's ideas, giving each other feedback on proposals. Fund 2, I shared with this person, hey, I met some really good new people, and we're thinking about combining our proposals into one to bring these things together. And he said to me, why would you do that? You have your own reputation, and why would you share what you've built so far with other people? And I looked at him, I said, oh, we don't see this system the same way, right? You want to win and be the guy. And I'm here to try to build something that makes results happen. And I would rather be working with people. We can do more when we learn to collaborate. And that was kind of the end of our relationship. And it was fine, right? That again is why we're here. So I did combine proposals with my co-founder, Roberto, and we had a proposal successfully funded in Fund 2. And that's where Gimbal Labs comes from. And we've been working for a year to build infrastructure first. So you may not have seen a lot of what we do, but we are building technical infrastructure and community structures for getting people together, talking about ideas, and kind of living this writing process that I'm talking about. At the end of this session, I can share with you some links and ways to get involved, but I just want you to have that background. And again, I want to reiterate how many people you're all going to meet, and to make the most of those new relationships, but also to keep perspective, be gentle, stay true to why you're here. I'll pause there again, just in case that raises other questions, or Tavo, Lucio, I don't know what you would add there.
Well, I'm gonna just add, because for my personal story really aligned. Well, it's kind of a continuation, at least from my perspective, because my first proposal was in Fund 4, and I was in a group with people that I didn't really resonate with, and I was looking for new engagements. And so I threw in a proposal with just some loose ideas, also looking to collaborate. And I merged that proposal with, that's how I got in contact with James. And we merged that proposal, and it didn't get funded, but it was pretty successful, at least from my perspective, because that's kind of how I found the place. And from there, it's just, yeah, wasn't even so much about the proposals anymore.
Amen, Sosha. Exactly. And when you think about a collaboration like ours that is still forming, and it ebbs and flows, and you compare that to I think we were requesting about $20,000, right? How many dev salaries does $20,000 pay for, right? And so when I compare that potential take that we didn't get to finding people like you, the math works out pretty easily that Fund 4 was a success, even though there were not financial rewards in that particular round.
And I think that's another point, that a successful proposal should not be funded. Basically, it can be a success also just because you are forming a group with other people. You learn about the process, you learn about the technologies, I don't know, a lot of things. So I think it's an important point.
How many times have you heard somebody say, you know, I have a proposal for this, but I'm going to do it anyway?
Definitely a lot of time, I think. So it's really important, but a lot of time only in Catalyst, probably, because
right.
in other places this is not the usual way. So go, Melanie.
Hi, thanks. It's early in the morning, so I don't have my screen on or my laptop. Just want to say thank you very much for that, because we forget that the value in what we do isn't always given monetary value. Creating a team, those collaborations. This is really super inspiring to listen to you this morning. You're filling up my battery again, even though the sun isn't up yet, and charging my solar panels. But you know, being part of this community, you can get knocked down elsewhere, you come back in, and like you were saying, James, pick the people that fill you up. And if you're getting drained in certain areas, let it go and go to the place where your heart feels full and you're getting the encouragement that you need. So great presentation so far. Really looking forward to sharing the recording as well.
Thanks, Melanie. I remember when you first jumped into an after town hall meeting, and it's been so fun watching you take on a role and to grab the torch of Cardano for Climate. Thank you so much for what you do. And
thank you. It's been a safe environment to find where you belong and do the things that you love and that are important. So that's how you can thrive. I'm, you know, the perfect example of somebody who just goes ahead and jumps in, puts that proposal in, didn't get funded. But, you know, we have this massive community around us now that's doing the things that we need to do despite that. So be encouraged.
Tabo, before you jump in, let me give a quick note, and I can share this again, and I'll grab a Discord link. But we do at Gimbal Labs, we do an open meeting every Tuesday. It's at 5 p.m. UTC. We call it Playground, and it's a place where anybody can come to discuss a project idea that they're thinking of. And we have a different presenter every week, and we just get together and help each other refine ideas. We're not running that session next Tuesday, the 23rd of November, because we're doing a takeover with Melanie's and team's Cardano for Climate group. So we're excited to send our rowdy bunch over to you, Melanie. Thanks for hosting that.
What I wanted to say is that there's a lot of, like, you will find your place, but sometimes there will be many places where you can. So in this economy, what I found myself is that there are way too more projects I want to be involved with than there is time in your schedule, and you still can do it because you only do what you like to and share, and then people will learn, okay, you like to do this, and then they contact you when they need. And so try to think, what do you want to do, or who you want to become, or what you want to learn, and from that journey you will also find yourself that temporary position or maybe a lifelong position.
that goes back to the authorship piece as well, right? Because we are forced to be really intentional authors of our own lives here. What will inevitably happen as you get engaged in Project Catalyst is, like Tavo said, you will find yourself engaged in too many things. And everybody, I'm pretty sure I can say everybody who's ever participated in Catalyst has met with this moment of overwhelm and maybe a little bit of exhaustion, which then leads to self-doubt, and then you need to take a break. And one of the things I've learned from a lot of people is the value of, hey, yo, step away for a minute, go for a walk. Peter's setting a good example for all of us this morning by walking and listening. And I've learned a lot. Yes, that's where we should all, you see, if we were all just on the trail walking next to each other and having this conversation, I think that would be the ideal way to have this workshop. But we are globally distributed, so we'll dream about hiking together someday. But Sophie has also helped me out in thinking about ways to gain perspective and remember your friends and remember all those things that this can definitely take your time away from.
Okay, perfect. Great words. I really love the discussion about this. Okay, and now probably we can start go deep in some more operational things. So I think the first topic important to discuss is about the challenges. What is a challenge, and basically why you should propose in a challenge rather than another, stuff like that. So as you have seen, that there are more than one challenge in Catalyst, and you should think about a challenge like basically there is a challenge brief that describes the goal that the proposal in a specific challenge should achieve in their process, basically. So this is kind of a division about topics and the intention of a challenge, and in the final rounds, when a proposal got funded and there is the execution part, basically we will measure together the return of intention. What is the return of intention? Basically, we set this intention with the challenge because we want to achieve something, and we will measure how the proposals that got funded helped to reach this target, basically. So to make a basic example, for the Dapps, for example, the intention is to have a wider adoption of Cardano as a utility, and basically to have more people, more general public involved in Cardano, and we can achieve them building some Dapps or some integration, and basically this is the process. So this is the goal that with your proposal should try to achieve in general. So and basically, so the idea for a proposal is to read in depth the challenge briefs to find what it fits the best about your problem, your problem and your project in general, and try to identify the challenge that best fits this. And after that, just this is probably the best challenge for you. Often it is really common to see that maybe a problem statement or a proposal in general could fit in more than one challenge, and at that point there is obviously, if there is something that is related to the challenge, it's good to go. You don't have to I don't know, split your project in different challenges. You can, but it's not mandatory. There is maybe some strategic thinking about the funding available, stuff like that, that could help in this way, I don't know if James, if you want to I don't know, deep dive in the Dapps, basically, maybe with some example.
Oh man, so the Dapps challenge has been the most competitive from day one. Right? There's full stop. Because there are so many little use cases that will exist, right? That will roll out over the next few years. And what you're doing when you contribute to the Dapps challenge is you're trying to get your focused idea to capture the attention of a community of voters who, in most cases, haven't thought about these things as deeply as you have, right? So you have to have a hook, right? You have to have a reason that your DApp needs to exist. You got to have a way of explaining why it's built on blockchain in the first place, right? You're not just like sprinkling some blockchain in and calling it a DApp. You have to be able to explain why this thing, why this problem requires blockchain. And then ideally, you can distinguish yourself by saying, and here's some future opportunities a DApp like this would open up. So an example, I don't think I'm stealing anybody's idea if I try to draw a link between NFTs and event tickets. This is something that we've been looking at for months and months at Gimbal Labs, not because we want to be the next Ticketmaster, but just because we recognize that by focusing on that problem, we have a chance to learn a lot about the sub-problems involved in building a solution like that. Now, a ticketing platform would be a great example of a DApp, right? So I could propose that. I'm gonna build decentralized ticketing, so people don't have to use Ticketmaster anymore. And hey, why does that need blockchain, right? What is that actually making better? People just don't like Ticketmaster, right? And now you have to think really hard about what exactly it is right here. And at the very same time that you're thinking about why blockchain for this solution, you also have to be aware of what underlying tech you're going to need. What is a DApp anyway? If I have a concert event listing, and every event has, you know, a time and a venue, and you know what musical act is playing, that's all data, right? Where I got to store that somewhere. Where am I going to store that data? If I put it on a typical database on an AWS server, am I really building a DApp? And the only reason I'm demonstrating this line of thinking out loud for you is because I hope you'll engage with the same. And maybe the answer is, yeah, you could start building a DApp, but still use centralized storage, right? But you better be ready to make that argument. You better be ready for the why blockchain part in what you're building. And you better have well-prepared answers for why you are decentralizing here to start, but not over here with, say, storage. What questions does that raise? I want to push people to really start thinking about the components of the dApps you're building and how you're going to answer this why blockchain question. What do you think?
Well, the centralized application makes sense if anybody needs to see an immutable ledger or somebody wants to not depend on a centralized server that stores the data, and some data might have to stay decentralized. Also, maybe that you have some private data you don't want to share with others, then this data might be that you want to keep it on like a standard DB/server that will be centralized. I was talking with Simon about a decentralized poker application, and there was basically two options: having a normal poker applications which stores data on a server centralized, or a decentralized application that is storing data on IPFS, interplanetary file system, where basically this kind of file system is decentralized and is distributed, not used, accessed by location like a normal web server, but by resources. So these are really two different types of technologies, and in the best fashion of informatics, we have to know if the whole application we want to make a pure DApp, or if it makes sense to have like a mixed application that is part centralized, part decentralized. But the point is, like Elon Musk says, we typically go by analogy, by looking at others' work and try to reproduce. But we build disruptive innovation when we boil this down to the basic elements, and then we build a solution ground up. In this case, building ground up would be understanding the difference between decentralized and centralized, and then choose which part of the application has to be centralized. That is my thought.
Patrick, thanks for jumping in there. And that's exactly right. And so you go to recognizing that some data might be private, some might be stored on IPFS, and even learning that distinction, right? Some people on this call or on your teams might still be learning those distinctions. And if people make progress on that by participating in Project Catalyst, again, that's another example of a success, right? We can level up our understanding of what we have to build together. And if you do have specific plans for storage, you should write about those, right? In your proposal. Make sure you explain what decisions you're making about what components will be decentralized now, which ones won't yet, and what your plans are for moving in that direction. And even for something like IPFS, you increase your chances of success, especially with the community advisors, if you get more specific than just saying, we're going to use IPFS. Hey, we're going to set up a pinning service like this to handle data. Or we're going to use this service for IPFS pinning as we build out this other functionality. And if you don't know how to go deeper into those questions, the great news is, once again, we go back to the writing process. Put placeholders for now, and you've got what, 4 weeks from right now until proposals are finalized. Go find somebody who can help you fill in the gaps, right? That's the opportunity here. And again, this is why we're engaging in this process.
And I would add also that this analysis that everyone makes about the technologies and why something should be on chain, something off chain, it's an opportunity to see what is the value that could be added by using, for example, the blockchain technology. So to come back to your example about NFTs as a ticketing system, one idea could be that if I purchased a ticket, I want to resell it to anyone I want. And if it is a physical ticket, probably I can. But if I purchased it with my name attached to it from an online service, I can't do it because I'm dependent from this central activity, so from this central organization. So maybe this kind of analysis that you can discover that technologies help you to create these fungible tickets. It's something that it's a value that you can add to your project just using the technology. And I think this is something really important, this process, because it takes us to the basic structure of a proposal, which is writing a problem statement and then explain your solution. So
that your explanation there, Lucio, it's obvious that you've been in Catalyst for a while because your explanation is so subtle and nuanced. And sometimes nuanced arguments are hard to put in writing, especially when you have a character limit. So you mentioned the problem statement, that's first and foremost, right? So just for anybody who's new here, the problem statement, what is it, tweet length? Is it still 140 characters? Right? So, I mean, it's really, really hard to name a problem in that many characters. And you will beat your head against the wall a couple of times as you're trying to narrow down what you're trying to say. But it's critical because that's what people will see, first of all, right? Like before they even click through, people will see the title of your proposal and the problem statement. Okay. This has to be eye-catching. It has to be a problem that's going to draw people in. And on the voting app, as people are looking through proposal titles, accompanied by ratings from the community advisors, right? If they tap in to learn more about your proposal, they will then also see the problem statement there. All right. So that part's critical, getting that part right. But I want to go back to this idea of a nuanced argument. I think putting into writing what Lucio was just saying would be hard. And a lot of people don't have time to read everything. So one thing that we've learned is that successful proposals might also include like a 1 or 2 minute video. And you can express that sort of subtlety, I think, often more efficiently in a little video than in pages and pages of text. So I encourage you to think about how you're writing part of your proposal and then maybe embedding a video to accompany it as you get to the final revision stage. Go ahead, Miroslav.
Yes, actually, James, that thing that you mentioned now about metrics, so-called metrics, I will say, this proposal video, that was one idea of our team, that it will, I will not say must be, but it will be plus, it will be thumbs up. Yeah? I hope that till the end of our presentation that we will also speak a little bit how to manage 200 plus projects, how to rapid it, how to, you know, take everything, how can I say that, how to don't put somebody behind and how to manage everything. This is
oh my gosh, I mean, it's an enormous question, and thanks for being the first to take it on, man. it's good. And with examples like this, I don't know if there's any data about successful proposals and if they included video or anything like that. It would be interesting to see that if anybody's looked at that. So Miroslav, I don't know the answer to your question, right, about how to manage 200 proposals, right? But let's just think reality for a second, right? You're not going to hold everybody's hand. So what can you provide, right? And I come to this just to provide a tiny bit more background. I've spent most of my adult career as a high school math teacher. And I've worked in the US educational system where essentially teachers are expected to like really hold kids' hands for as long as possible and always be lifting them up. And there's value in this. We have to support people, right? We have legislation from our federal government called No Child Left Behind. I don't want to leave anybody behind, right? But at the same time, there's a certain point at which this approach can end up being counterproductive. At a certain point, we know this as adults out here in the world. You got to take care of yourself. You got to stand up on your 2 feet. And so I hope that Catalyst can strike a better balance than the US educational system currently does, right? Of telling people, listen, this is, at the end of the day, it's on you. We're going to provide you as much scaffolding as possible. We're going to provide you as much support as possible. I think from challenge teams, one of the best things you can do is just try to make sure that every proposal gets feedback from somebody, but it doesn't have to be from you, the challenge leader, right? But track that and experiment with, hey, how can we do this? How can we build up this culture to make sure that every proposal gets at least a little bit of feedback? And then how can we make it so that everybody giving a proposal understands that they are the responsible party, right? It's about you and what you put together, and challenge teams can't be seen as like the go-to, can't be seen as the final source of what happens in a challenge. And I can only hope that comes to life. So you probably have something better to say.
Well, I have something to say. I don't know if it's, but yeah, just also maybe just thinking in a bit of a different direction. So not like a solution or anything that's going to solve everything, but something we can start to think about and work towards, and maybe iterate on each funding round as challenge team members. Because that's also where I'm coming from. I'm interested in the whole concept, and also in some challenge teams, is that part of it, one thing that is a bit difficult now is that you kind of have to pick your stream right from the start. So if you think in funnels, we're going through a funnel, going from ideation broad to a narrow finalized proposal. But you already have to pick your challenge stream from the start. Where are you going to insight? Where are you going to do your proposal? Where are you going to finalize it? You can't really make a proposal in an area of challenges and work it towards a final in one of them where it actually fits. Maybe, and I think sort of, because there is some overlap, and sometimes a proposal could be in several challenges. Maybe it fits in a very, or one like there's a clear example here with the mini Dapps and the bigger Dapps, right? It fits in the mini Dapp. Should I go there? Should I go in the bigger one? Maybe it also depends on who else. Like, we can also work towards a more even distribution together, right? We all want to sort of, yeah, have some fair competition, and like you said, we've seen overpopulation in some challenges like the Dapps, and if we can maybe, before we get to that point, try and convince people to go for another challenge where their proposal might maybe even fit better, or is also valid, where there's less yeah, we can lessen the competition aspect, and also work a bit with challenge teams, try to help people find the right place for their proposal.
I like that.
So
Hey,
I'm happy, if you want to send people over to the open source, dev ecosystem, because they happen to be just also doing some integration, an open source project, you know, just point them in another way, and then we'll be happy to take them on board if you feel overloaded. Maybe that's also just yeah.
Yeah, I will add that basically, I don't know, I see the topic of a challenge as it's not exclusive, because if your if your project is about more topics, I think that only one topic, if it fits for only one topic in a challenge, it's good. You don't need to add something, because and I think it's pretty common that I don't know, and the NFT that we are talking about before is if there is an NFT challenge, it fits in NFT, but it can fits in the Dapps challenge, in the mini Dapps if the budget is low. It's really I don't know. It's really open about this. There is no one answer to this question. So, and in general about the challenge teams, I see that probably it's not their duty to manage these 200 proposals, but it just probably guide some process that could improve this proposal. So maybe create some connection between people and ask them to provide feedback to the various proposals. And I don't know, if you see more than one proposals that they have some overlap, something in common, maybe you can propose them to talk to each other and merge their own proposal, stuff like that. But I don't think there is no active role. You don't have to actively manage the proposals that are in the challenge, but it just I don't know, facilitate some process that could be a general improvement for the challenge.
That's really good. And I actually don't know this part. Is there a venue for all of the challenge leaders to come together and meet on a regular basis?
At the moment, we have a Telegram chat, and we shared our contacts between us. So basically, we can reach out. This is the way I contacted Miroslav, for example,
Cool.
because and as we know, a Catalyst is a big experiment, and this is another experiment in the pipeline. So it's the first time that we are experiencing with these challenge teams, and we'll see what will happen.
This is another place where I'm learning to be gentle with myself. I wish I was more involved in this because I really believe it's so important, and I just don't have time. And so it's so good to trust everybody that this is going on, and I'm learning not to apologize as often for not being right in the middle of that work. But it seems to me that we can talk about two things we just named as metrics moving forward, right? One is, on average, how many comments are proposals getting, and to what extent are proposers collaborating with each other, or maybe even joining proposals. And not to say that's always the best thing, or that must happen, but I do think it could be a valuable lens to look at the success of challenge teams, and just to have different challenge captains comparing notes on that. I don't know, do any other metrics come to mind for how you would rate the success of a challenge team, or like what might drive innovation there?
Yeah, this is I really like this kind of approach, because this is the same approach that basically we use for proposals, for challenges, and I think it could be really effective for the challenge teams. I think that basically probably the best metrics for challenge teams is about the return on intention, about the challenge in general. So when we will see the proposal execution, it's I don't know, kind to see how the proposals basically have accomplished the initial mission. And this is something I think the other operational part for a challenge team will come after the funding, basically, because the challenge team is in charge to track this KPI from the various proposals funded, and also about creating this coordination between the proposals funded. So I think it will be really important to find a way to, I don't know, create a connection between the various KPI that a proposal selected at the moment of submission, and the general key metrics of the challenge. And probably this will be the hardest part of the challenge team work, because it could be a bit tricky. And also because I don't know, there are a lot of things that are intangible, they can't be measured, but at the same time they have probably an heavy weight. So I think in general this will be the hardest part for the challenge team in the end, but as we know, it's like in the future, so we can't say anything about it now. And I think this introduces another topic that it is really important for a proposer, that maybe they create a proposal in the next weeks, because it's about this KPI. Because as we said in the proposal structure, as a proposer, you have to include some metrics that will be used to verify basically the success of your project, and how it is aligned to the challenge, and now basically it's accomplished the final goal of the challenge. So for the Dapps and mini Dapps, this is something that could be probably a bit more easy, because we are talking about technical stuff. So there are maybe some technical KPIs that could be really easy to choose, but you always have to remember that a metric will be measured in some way. So it's important to choose something that it will be easy to track basically in the future. So for example, I don't know, the basic metric that I can imagine for a app is about the number of transactions that it could produce on the blockchain, or the number of wallets that are involved in a specific app interaction, or the number of tokens that will be produced by a specific DApp. So there are, it's really important to choose the right metrics, because they, in some way, they will improve the auditability criteria of the process. And this criteria, it's important for the community advisor, because they will assess this type of criteria. So it's really important to choose something that obviously fits with your depth, and it's easy to track, and also it's related, obviously, as we said before, with the challenge in general. So something that could be conducted back to the challenge brief and the challenge final goal. And I don't know, in your experience, James, if you have some example, for example, about the metrics that you used for a DApp, or I don't know, an integration.
It's funny. So we've actually never, we had one DApp proposal in Fund 4 that wasn't successful, because I think it was very specific. And so all of our successful proposals so far have been in the developer ecosystem challenges. And this raises this question. This goes back to like, hey, where's the line between those two proposals? And it also goes back to some basic strategy, right? So if you open up IdeaScale and you see that there's 100 DApp proposals, but only like 12 developer ecosystem, you know what to do. Kind of refine your DApp and make it more general. Talk about the components you're going to build and not about the DApp itself. And I would say in terms of those KPIs, it's really valuable to think beyond the instantaneous KPIs that everybody's going to see, like transactions, et cetera, and to think instead about how you're going to build up the rest of the ecosystem. You might be building a DApp, and it might produce this many transactions, and you might have this roadmap for success. But what about the tooling you're going to build, right? Are you going to build a component as part of your DApp that's then valuable for other use cases? Are you willing to open source that component? That kind of thing can really show that you're thinking in a much bigger picture way. Yeah, all of our KPIs so far have been about engagement of other developers and not about what we ourselves are building.
And I think it's really a precious insight, I think, because you can think about, I don't know, the outcome that a DApp could produce, basically in terms of I don't know, people involved, and this is something that it's important. Or maybe, as you said, if it is if your DApp is composed by multiple components, a single component could be a tool used by others, and maybe, I don't know, a metric could be the proposals that will use your component in their submission. So I don't know, it's really useful. And I don't know if anyone has the intention to propose a DApp, and we'll talk about it, and maybe, I don't know, share some ideas about the KPIs that they would use.
Yeah, about KPIs, because it's always a difficult, because so many things are intangible, right? Exactly where we started these whole talks is like so much of the value is what is happening behind the proposal, and like even if it doesn't get funded, like how do you KPI that, right? So but I saw some KPIs that I came across that I think are interesting to think about, indeed, like what James says, with the different direction, or there's sometimes technical things that you can put in, but even if you're building a DApp, a lot of this is about its early stages, right? It's all innovation. It's about building the community, lessons learned. So whatever project you do, add in like any event that you organize, an after town hall or whatever, to build that community, to share lessons learned, and to track the participation in that is I think like a really clear, like it's something that is trackable, but it is really about just, yeah, how many people did you engage? Like if you host some event to talk about it, or to explain your idea, how many people are engaged in that? I think that's really can be really strong KPIs, because it's very measurable, but it's very also aimed on the engagement, and not necessarily on the technical outcomes of any. Yeah, and KPI, I don't know. It's a silly question. You can call it all kinds of things. We can also not name it, or
Yes, totally agree with that, Sasha. And probably I imagine that there is also a meta level of this, like about, I don't know, if your team grows because you involve more team in the active development of your projects. This is something that could be measured, and in general, it improves the overall community, because you create engagement. And I think there are really a lot of type of indicators that could be used in this this type of applications. And in general, I think be open-minded about this, not focus only on the technical aspects, but consider the human aspects and the engagement aspects. It's really important because could add value to your projects, and also, I don't know, it will be probably better seen also by others, because you are not only developing a product, but you are building something more. So it's important to also provide some metrics about this.
Yeah, I like what Sophie brought out and related to feedback. When, for example, when you have in the product development stages, like, oh, I just finished the model. Let me share with people what I just did, and then just collecting like what I just showed you. Did it excite you? Did like went to 1 to 5, and you can even use that as a metric to show. And another thing from my own experience, which is goes to different side of, because I'm like a project management and I like to use time for all of kinds of measurements. And I was in a situation where my product is not out yet, but my KPIs, what I suggested on proposal, was about how many users use this. I have no product, 0, 0, 0. Every week, 0, 0. And now they turned it off that you cannot say 0 anymore. So I had to pivot, and I started using operational metrics, like how much time it took to complete this task, how many tasks were created, who did what, how many people engaged in that, and that created a different map even for myself. I was like, actually, this is moving now. I see a flow now in the engagement of development itself. So yeah, there are many KPIs you can use, and I in my mind I would use them all, but make it easy that you for yourself.
Cool, great.
Well said. We don't have to reinvent what makes a good KPI. Yonder was saying something in the chat that made me think about like KPIs that are, and forgive me, I don't know the exact terminology, right? But you have some that are kind of will report on data after the fact, right? And then there's others that are really forward looking and designed to show that, hey, yeah, we're going to have KPIs, but how are we going to use them? We're going to use them to make sure that we're building the best thing possible and moving and growing towards a moving target, right? Anybody who tells you they know exactly what the outcomes of a blockchain project are going to be in 3 years, right? Think back 3 years, people. Could you have predicted what you'd be doing right now 3 years ago, right? And so we have to leave a lot of room for the unknown for ourselves. And I think that can be reflected in the way we write KPIs, the way we deal with uncertainty.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say also, if you submit a proposal in the next week, probably in the next 3 weeks, your KPIs will change, because
forget about 3 years, just 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know, it was my experience. For example, I proposed a DApp in the last fund. It didn't get funded, but just I don't know, reading the feedback that I received, I had more ideas on the same DApp, because it was exactly the same, but just the use and the final users could be different from the one I imagined at the beginning. And this is an example of how a KPI could change, just because I don't know, someone sees your idea, your project, and it's a look, you can just use your idea in this different way. And it's the same idea, but at that point, obviously the metrics and the outcome will change. So basically it's something that is not written in the stones, I would say. Okay, and now probably I will just focus a bit on the mini Dapps, and so we can introduce also Thibaut and this framework about the mini proposals. And as I said before, there are just 3 guidelines that we introduced in the mini Dapps to evolve basically the Dapps challenge. And because we saw there is a lot of competition in the Dapps challenge. So basically it's happened before that maybe a larger project just exhausted the funds from the challenge, leaving out maybe some small projects. So the three key concepts that we introduced are about this limitation of budget. So it's like $10,000. It should be, it's just a guideline. So each proposal should not be higher than that. And also the idea was to have a fast results from this challenge. So basically in 3 months, we expect a final product that will be delivered to the users. And in this way, this is so the reason about the mini concept. And I think for mini concept, probably there are also mini problem statements. There are something that it's still limited. So I think in this way, the framework that Thibaut built could be really useful just to identify some key concept that could be useful to develop a mini proposal.
I guess it's my turn to take away now.
Yes.
I will share a screen because I will use the visuals to show what is the process. So basically, what you see here is a Miro where there are a bunch of questions. So this will help you to guide through a journey of writing a proposal. It consists of brainstorming and then using the results with the questions and going forward to get scope down on idea. But to keep in mind what Lucia said is that when we have an idea, what we want to do is we want to go specific into this. So how like, for example, we have a problem statement here. So you have an idea, you wanted some kind of problem, let's say what James built out, a ticketing system. And now you kind of know that, okay, this is, the problem is that we don't, we use these ticketing masters in the centralized ways, but we have an option to do it in decentralized way. So now you go and ask, why is it the problem that we use centralized ticketing masters? And but what she also like brought up before, like why use blockchain? That's a more meta level. But here we go attacking the problem itself, what you brought up, and then you get answers. Okay, we do it because we do it this because of this, and this, and then you turn these like results again back into problem statements, and now they're actually scoped down to a specific like why you actually need it, because that why you need it is also a problem. But and you can go deeper as many times you want. You can ask again this, like let's say we selected like the reason it is a problem that the ticket masters are like giving out tickets is that they have control over the price, for example, and maybe they see too many people using it, so they can manipulate it. So now you scope down your problem statement, that you you are only addressing that you don't want to give ticket masters a way to manipulate price. So that's why we create this solution. But you can go even deeper than that and ask, okay, why do we want that a centralized person won't be able to manipulate it? Maybe it's a good thing that he can like raise up the price for so that all the people who organize get more paid. But of course there is a downside. So the more time you answer yourself why is it like that, yes, of course, Mirrorboard, and gives you pretty much insight. Where do you want to scope down? What are the problem statements under that bigger problem you want to solve? And this is how it goes. And same will go for the almost solution. You start like thinking about it and then make sure that you're addressing the solution. So this was just one step of that process, but it goes 11 steps. So it has like a solution stage. There is an important part is like titling your step. Then you like think about what kind of roles do you need in this team, what they do, and then think about, okay, what kind of proposal is it, what it's for, maybe adding some taggings there. So for example, I just say this is a mini proposal workshop, like a proposal. The requirement is that it's scoped down and the low budget and the result could be brought up faster. Some people have like, okay, this is a business idea. I feel like a revenue stream here. This is a community tool that everybody uses, uses that and helps them to do their work. So this is what I mean by like problem statements. And target audience, who you are actually looking into, and defining success. What is your vision? What do you want to see as an end result? And talked a bit about the key performance measurements, like how do you measure, how do you audit your proposal, user journey and flow charts, like where do they start, why they even find your application, what they do there first, what do they get out of that, just to have that like a flow chart in your mind of the user journeys. And finally, you bring up like previous points, because all of this you like brainstorm through, you get it up. And now you can use previous results to think about, okay, what are the tasks these people are doing, and think about how much time it will take. Then you can start estimating, okay, how much money I might need. And finally, you summarize this all up, the estimations, how much buffer time you need, what is your requirement for time, or if some kind of costs, and that will be, this final result will give you all of the information you would need for mini proposals. Well, it might not work for everything, but I'm definitely sure that it will help you to get a holistic view out of your idea. And why I'm saying it might not work everywhere is that if you go outside the mini Dapps and you want to try, like, okay, I'm gonna take on now developer ecosystem and I want to build a mini innovation fund where we're gonna have like 50 people operating and creating workshops, training, facilitating, guiding, assessing, organizing, all of that. And then we also want the treasury. Then this is much bigger work, and there is not enough questions in this kind of guide. But if you so that the first two steps are very important here. Scope down on a specific issue you want, a specific solution, and then from that build your understanding of that. And if you want to go bigger, you can think of it as a modular step. Okay, now I just did this one solution for this problem. There are two more solutions for the same problem, and then you go through the same list. You can borrow the same results, and eventually you just build yourself a bigger proposal. I also put the YouTube link here. So if some people are like visuals people, here is a playlist pretty much of all the proposals. And there is one session called Waffle, where we go through overall of the like steps. Actually, there are two of them. One is mini proposal workshop overview, where we go quickly what I just told you in a 2-hour video, 1 hour, 30 minutes. And there is another video which is 6 hours. Maybe it's too long, but here we literally go through entire this process and get an outcome. So, yep, this is mini proposal workshop. Any questions are welcome.
Thank you, Theo.
Yeah, that's really incredible, man. Thanks for building that.
I think it's really important to see how, I don't know, a mini something that is scoped for a mini proposal could be applied also for a bigger one, because I don't know, some key concepts are always there even for a big proposal, and maybe I don't know, it is something that could be really useful for a big proposal, because you can have a better overview of the whole proposal, just splitting it in different pieces, and this is something that could be really useful. As you said before, obviously, if you have to make a big proposal, you will have more problems, more stuff to analyze, but probably the process it's kind of the same, no?
Yeah, it is. Like, for example, one thing what is missing compared to bigger proposals, what I took out is the roadmap. So you don't need like a 3 or 6 or 1 year roadmap when your delivery could be come in 2 weeks. So scope it down. But if nobody stops you to think about other stuff, like build the process, give feedback, and like this is, I just like to start small, and this is how it's been evolving for now.
I'll be really curious how many proposers use the mini DApp challenge to build just one component of a much bigger project. Would that feel like success to people behind the challenge?
I think the one guideline that we put there was about to deliver something complete, something that can be used by an end user. So it depends, probably. I don't know. I imagine that if you build, for example, I don't know, an NFT vending machine, which is something small, but it's just a part of a bigger project about NFTs. But you can still use it, an end user can still use it. It is something that it fits the challenge. So I don't know, the only thing that we would like to avoid for the challenge is like a proposal divided in chunks, and this is the first step. The second step, because the real focus is to have a final product available in the end.
Good answer. I like that.
Okay.
And if somebody is interested, you can contact me. I mainly use Discord. I will put my chat there. I've been actually looking for people if they want to start a proposal or thinking, and then can have a like outside workshop in your time. Like, let's just match times. But these also happen if you want to enjoy in live session. What this feel like? Then every after down hall we have a session where I show this, and I will have these sessions until the proposal stage is closed.
Perfect. Thank you, Theo.
And if anybody wonders, does this even work? Then I have gotten funded. I went through the same process. I wrote it down in my own way, just like copy pasting from sticky notes, slightly changing some wording on proposals, and I got funded for doing these kinds of workshops, and actually even got my friend in, who is video editor, and it's like, I don't know nothing about blockchain. I was like, nah, don't worry about it. Just do what you do. And even got him funded.
Great. Go, Melanie.
I might make a suggestion because it's something that we're trying to do with Cardano for Climate, is bring in a proposal that looks promising. It actually includes WADA, it's Climate Center in Ghana, and we're hoping to bring his proposal to TiVo. He's never done this before, and into one of his mini workshops, record it, go through the process, and use it as a learning experience for other people. So any challenge team out there, I would highly recommend going through TiVo's workshop with maybe one proposal, use it as an example, use it as a teaching tool. I've been in several of them and I just absolutely adore it. And I've fallen in love with Miro board as well. Thanks, TiVo.
And I want to ask TiVo, do you think your framework could be also useful not only to build a proposal, but also to verify if a written proposal have the key feature that are needed for a successful?
Oh, definitely. But this time around, the community advisor role I took myself was very like, oh, you're missing this, you're missing this, you're missing this, and you could add this. So much insight I could give to the proposer. But it was kind of wearing me down, because then I knew so much, like, okay, it took me like hours to give information, how could it improve? But yeah, it's definitely a good, at least for me, it has helped me to understand what proposal needs. And when I read it, I will already can point out, hey, you could do this here a bit better, or think about this, maybe it helps you to define it better. And that's there.
Cool. So basically, it could be also a tool for community advisors, basically, to assess the proposals. Very cool. Okay. And now probably, I don't know, I will pass to the last topic that was about examples of successful proposals. I don't know if anyone who is here was a proposer and was funded, maybe he could share his story. And because we didn't prepare anything about this, and but I don't know. I really would like to hear anyone else if want to just take a word.
Hey, I think I can say something here. Hi, everyone. So I was invited to participate in this project last month. No, actually last fund, which some of you may have seen it. It's called Win-Win, Alternative Dispute Resolution. And it is, for example, it is one example of how blockchain can be used to help improving a process that already exists in the outside blockchain world, and smart contracts are useful to make these processes better. So I'm going to share here the idea, just this might give some insight to someone to think or come up with a similar solution for a problem that already exists. And for example, in this case, we are solving, we are helping people who have any kind of legal issues. They have some problems with someone and they don't want to go through the usual process of hiring an attorney, a lawyer, and going to the court, have a judge, because sometimes this is very costly and non-effective and takes a long time. And there's this alternative that already exists called mediation, which is when you hire someone to help you or in the other party, both parties, sometimes more than two parties are in this issue. So they just sit together and try to come up with a solution that's going to be good for everyone. Might not be perfect, but everyone's going to be partially happy, which is not usually the case when you go to the court. But the usual process has some limitations, especially due to the bias that the mediator might have, because you have two parties that need to find someone else to come up to mediate the situation. And even if the mediator doesn't want to be biased, he's going to be unconsciously biased by the person who found him or the person who paid him first. And we came up with a solution to use smart contracts to do this, all of this in the background without the mediator knowing about this. So this platform that we are building now called Win-Win, it's going to be a mediators marketplace. So the mediators are going to sign up and they're going to set their fields of where they are specialists, and also their calendar saying when they are available. And then both parties are going to sign up there, find mediators and set up a mediation with this person. And he's not going to know who found them first, who paid them first. They're just going to see that they were chosen to mediate a case, and they can accept it or not. And all of these are possible to be done by using smart contracts. And this could also be done without smart contracts using other platforms and the usual software development, but it is not as secure as using blockchain. And we got funded now in Fund 6. We were the first place in Dapps and integrations in Fund 6, and we are starting to build this. We are going to do this for the following months right now.
Thanks for sharing, Victor. I think also I shared the link of the proposal here in the chat because I think it's really important to understand the structure, the formal structure of a proposal, and what are basically the topics that should cover. And as you said, you were first, so it's obviously a really good proposal to take as an example. And
yeah, great, thank you.
Okay, if I don't know, anyone has some question in general, not also not specific to this Dapps challenge, but in general about the process, about something that you would know about Catalyst, please feel free to just raise your hand or open your mic.
I guess we need to start calling names.
I have to start calling names.
Cold calling. Hey, while people are thinking about questions they have, I can share a little bit about what we're doing at Gimbal Labs to support proposals. It's always uncomfortable to give a presentation and then to talk about our organization, because I don't want this to sound like a sales pitch, but I just want people to know the door is open and we have a lot of opportunities just where we're trying to help people out when we ask nothing in return. So I mentioned already, every Tuesday, we have a community meeting called Playground where people can come together and refine their ideas, learn together. The technical piece of what we do is called Dandelion, and this is highly applicable to the mini Dapps challenge, because if you're building a mini Dapp, you might not have time to build up all of the background infrastructure you need, or you might not have a budget to pay for a third party. So we offer that as a community service right now. And if you want details on that, I will drop our Discord link into the chat here, and anybody can just come ask questions about that anytime. And then finally, we're running, and this was our successful developer ecosystem proposal in Fund 6. We're running a program called Plutus Project-Based Learning, where we are funding people to level up their Plutus development skills after completing Plutus Pioneers. And we have several people from Victor's win-win team working through that process right now, building components that will have value directly for win-win, but that will also hopefully provide value for other people building similar dApps. So you can find out about all of that. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on Discord if that raises any questions, but I'll look forward to hearing from anybody who needs help.
Cool. Thank you, James. In my experience, I used Dandelion for my first DApp draft, and it was exactly what I wanted to what I need at that moment, because you don't want to start building the whole infrastructure, but you just want to experiment with the blockchain, and it's really useful.
And for anybody who's still learning the tech, right, there's a learning curve, of course, but even if you know what you're doing, getting your own instance of DB Sync hooked up, for example, takes days. It just takes, on most internet connections, it might take all week to sync, okay? So this is not about, we don't want anybody to think that you're taking some shortcut and that you shouldn't use. I don't want people to feel bad about using these tools, right? Like these are here because even if you know what you're talking about, you recognize how much time it takes to get some of these things set up, and we just want to provide people with a chance to build instead of wrangling their DB Sync into place.
Yes, exactly what was my experience, because you are I don't know, when you are building something, you want to interact as fast as you can, and wait a week just to figure out how to configure a node, and wait for syncing. It could be a bit strange. Okay. I will share in the chat some links about the school, because it is also an open place. So if you have some question about it, about the Catalyst process in general, you can also ask there. Here is the Telegram and the Discord link about the school. And you can find also here some useful link.
You can also share your idea and your first thoughts, what came up from your mind when you were thinking about what would you prove. And perhaps we could collectively already give you guidance there.
Yes, to answer Alex in the chat, we will upload this record in the Catalyst YouTube channel, and I will share the link here. Too much link. Okay. Thank you, Melanie.
Yes.
Am I unmuted? Yeah, I am. Thanks for putting the class on, everybody. And even if you don't have an idea, don't want to be a proposal, but you have some skills or have some connections like the talk, that is a huge asset. So please, there's many paths and many doors to get in. So we're looking for everybody that's interested. That's it.
Great, thank you. Okay, if there is anyone who wants to say something, it's free. Otherwise, I think we will close the session. Just make some, I don't know, final greetings.
Greetings to Tyler Case, who just joined. Final greetings to him.
I'll just pipe in. It was a great presentation and a great way to connect. As far as your sales pitch that you did, James, that was awesome. You know, it in the other world, we're afraid to share because it becomes, you know, we're looking for money or we're trying to increase our market. People need to understand in Catalyst, it's quite different. We want to create connections to create the solutions. Because I don't know about anybody else here, but we don't, individually, we do not have the answers. We don't have the solutions. And it's what I love about Catalyst is that we are collectively creating the solutions from all the different gifts that we have. So thank you very much for this.
Thanks,
That means a
Melanie.
lot. Thanks, Melanie. And let's, Tavo, Lucio, Victor, let's follow up. We can dedicate a playground session or two to proposal, you know, for people to do like a quick, we could give a bunch of people like 15 minutes each who have mini DApp proposals and welcome them in for a conversation if you guys ever want to do that.
Definitely, it will be really cool. Great. Maybe let's I don't know, collect some people in the Discord. So if we end up with I don't know, some proposers who want to do this, we will organize it. Great. Thank you. Thank you, James, for being here, and to everyone. We will upload this record on YouTube, and that's it.
Thanks for the invite. It means a lot.
Thanks, Lucio. Thanks, James. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thanks, Tyler. Don't worry, it was recorded.
Take care, everybody.